students at Livingston Academy treat me differently without my red coat. Some return to taunts and cruel notes, payback for the time I spent being the campus redcoat. Others smile and nod their support, convinced that I somehow helped Josephine and that I'm a hero of sorts. Ida doesn't ask me about the redcoat when I visit her. She just holds her arms out wide, like she knows that's what I need right now. When she finally lets me go and guides me to the chair, one when she finally lets me go and guides me to the chair, one arm around my shoulder, I wonder if looking I wonder if looking at me in that red coat was always difficult for her. If she's grateful that it is gone. When Ida asks when Ida asks me about the fair, I act like I hardly remember, even though I've hardly thought about anything else for the past few days. It was unexpected, I say as I climb into the chair. It always is, baby girl. I tell her about Shanta Cinder and about the bad deal that Mr. Gregors made with the men who hired Violet, and Edith shakes her head. At least you got a teaser before you go for real, she says, as she twists the roots of my hair. I think she's making locks. When I went, it was a mess. People touching and pulling me like I was fruit at the market. I wondered if... Oh my goodness, my eye. I'm turning off noise canceling. I wondered if what was coming up ahead was worse than where I'd been. Lucky for me, I was wrong. I left hell that day, and I ain't never going back to something like that. No way. I tell Ida about the Freemans and the way they stepped in and hired David, but Ida just nods. When I tell her that the Freemans want to hire me too, that Mr. Gregor said I could go in a year without having to go back to the fair, she nods again, smiling with only the corners of her mouth. Hello. Going to the hill? My goodness. Ain't that something, baby girl? She says with a voice that's strangely high. Oh. I wish they would say that before I read the words. Like, because if I had read it like that, I would have been like, going to the hill? My goodness. Ain't that something, baby girl? She says with a voice that's strangely high. Did you know that the hill is a real place? That there are folks like us with no scars, Ida? You should have seen their clothes. They were so beautiful and colorful. Mabel Freeman looked like a queen, and Ida's jaw tightened in the mirror, her fingers moving quick, tightening each lock, like she's only pretending to listen when what she really wants me to do is stop. Ida, I said, waiting for an explanation or a response. She sighs, closing her eyes. When I was growing up at the junior academy, and even at the North End Academy, there was talk of them guardian angel hill type, baby girl. People who'd come save us, she says. There's a hill coalition. There's a hill coalition that helps gutter folks, but they never come for the North End kids. I figured if they didn't come to save us from a place like that, they couldn't be real, because no guardian angel would leave a kid in that kind of place. Oh my goodness. This book is very sad. I'm very mad at my English teacher for picking this book, but it's good to read, but it's really sad. Ooh, class disparities. I was looking for my tabs, and I was looking through them to see which one is which, and this is class disparities. Where is it? There we go. I need it one. It's Gutter Child. And I'm already almost halfway through it. We're already almost halfway through it, so we're gonna have it like a halfway point test. Oh boy. But yeah. Anyways, her fingers weave through the. Where did I end off? Oh, because no guardian angel would ever leave a kid in that kind of place. Her fingers weave at the roots of my hair, and when she's done, she gives me a handful of pins and shows me how to use them to style my hair by lacing the strands together and pinning them up at the sides. I watch our faces in the mirror, wondering what it might have been like to grow up with Ida as a mother. A little bit of backstory. This girl, the girl that it's being told to her, the name is Elamina. She was like a project case, which means she was taken out of the gutter, which is like the system and the like society that like the gutter people or the what mainlanders, or I'm just gonna call them whites, see them like. Look up the synopsis. I can't explain it. I'm already halfway through the book. There's too much to explain. Is it true that you don't ever want to have children? I say. She squints her face. She squints her face the way people do when they've eaten something sour. Who told you that? I heard that you were in love. That there was another gutter deco who worked here, who left because you didn't want kids. She nods slowly, like the question brings back memories that are hard. He was a dreamer, baby girl. Though we could have it all, children and happiness and freedom, all in one lifetime. That's not how it works for us. Truth is, I don't ache for a child the way some do, and I don't ache for a man. I suppose I've got enough to worry about. What? I suppose I've got enough to worry about. Oh, I suppose I've got enough to worry about that those things don't seem to bother me. Okay. I think about the things that worry me. Murray Smith. Whether or not I'll get to the hill, and whether I'll be good. Do you think I'll like it? Do you think I'll like it at the hill? Do you even know who they are? Ida says. They're the ones who paid for their redemption before the gutter began. Ida looks at me and sighs, like she suddenly remembered who I am and how I got here, how little I know and why. She lowers my chair and pulls another seat close, so we're facing each other, my legs tucked between hers. Baby girl, I'm going to tell you the truth every gutter child is told before they walk out those gutter gates. A story we hear so much from the time we are born. A story we hear so much from the time we are born, we can tell it ourselves from memory, with our first words. Because if you go to the hill, you should know where you're heading and who you're heading to, she says. Now I know you're grown, but I'm going to tell you the story the way my mama told me, because that's how I remember it. And who knows? One day, you may need to tell it to a child of your own. My nose is so itchy. Oh my goodness. How many pages do I have left? I'm reading really slow. Oh my goodness. Oh, never mind. I'm not. I'm just overreacting. I watch as Ida takes my hands, clasping them between hers, pressing my fingers down so my fingers link together. I feel like she could have just said pressing my fingers down so they link together. That's clunky wording. Thousands and thousands of years ago, The world was good and healthy, connected just like your fingers. Land, ocean, sky. Land, ocean, and sky. All happy, good friends. But one day, the sky got jealous, and the land and the ocean were together. The sky got jealous that the land and the ocean were together, and the sky was very alone. And the sky cried angry tears that made the ocean overflow. She leaves my hands clasped and raises her hands high, wiggling her fingers down like raindrops. It was rain it was a rain that seemed to last forever. And when it finally stopped, the sky, still bitter with jealousy, turned cold and everything froze. She wraps her hand around my clasped fingers and squeezes tight, pressing my fingers until they cramp. Eventually, the sky got tired of the cold and the loneliness, so she sent the sun high like a bird, high like a bird with flames for feathers. But it was too late, and when the ocean melted, the earth cracked in pieces and spread apart. She pulls my hands apart slowly, my fingers tingling as she rests them against my legs. The earth floated in different directions, and the ocean filled up the cracks. Rivers and streams and small lakes came from everywhere. Okay, hang on. Why did somebody write in the book? Don't write on the book! You use tabs, and then you write on the tabs. You don't write in the books. That's a big no-no. You don't write in books. Okay, where was I? Okay. Okay. Rivers and streams and small lakes came up everywhere, and the people moved with it, floating and moving up and down and all around, mapping new land and territory. Those who survived the freeze and the thaw built homes and villages wherever they landed. There were people who lived inland and people who lived by the sea, people who lived in houses built. Oh my goodness, my brain is not braining anymore. I might just have to read this in silence. People who lived inland and people who lived by the sea, people who lived in houses built on the mountains, and others who lived amongst the trees, she says, shaping each place with the motion of her hands. There were small islands that you could cross by foot before dinner, and larger ones that took days, but our people lived on the great land, the largest body, the one shaped like wings. We were Sosi people with skin the color of earth, some as fair as the sand along the ocean, some as dark as fertile soil. We grew fast in numbers after the thaw, because of the abundance of our love and the sturdy bellies of our women, she said, placing her hands on her stomach and tapping her belly like a drum. We were Sosi, and we were strong. She frowns, lowering her hands. But when they came on ships, everything changed. She says, "Mainlanders?" She gave a small, tense smile, and she turns her hands over, pointing at where the skin is pale and light. We called them Odo. People of the sky. People of color. People the color of the moon and the clouds, she says. At first the Olo said they were not staying for long. They were not farmers like us. They settled along the shade of the mountains. They plunged into the earth with sharp machines, breaking the rocks and roots, and bring things out that could make light. They wanted to take it back to the place where they came from, but they did not return. But they did return. No, but they did not return. They had run out of land, and they wanted ours. We should have seen the dark sky that lived in their hearts, that jealousy that led the rain and the cold. Mama told me. Oh my goodness, sorry. Oh my goodness. This author is going to be the death of me. She is not her writing style, or yes, her JL. I think that's a she. They're going to be the death of me because their writing style encapsulates a lot of how indigenous people, like North American, or not North American, Native American people talk. Like, when I'm with the elders up at the longhouse for ceremony, sometimes it's how they talk, and it's really powerful. And this is just it's making me sad because even though this is these are fictional indigenous people, they're based off of the real indigenous peoples of Earth, and it's like mapping out colonialism. It's killing me. It's gonna be the death of me. It's too good. Okay. She said, okay. Mama told me, you should never follow people who don't know the way to their own joy, who seek it out in other places. Ida taps me on the chest. She said, joy starts right here, in your own heart, but our people did not remember that, and they agreed to let them stay. These people who are only happy when they get more from someone else. I think of Mr. George's at the fair, and the morning after Josephine disappeared, and the way money filled his face and his eyes with something so ugly. Olo wanted this land so that they could be seen and known by others. But that is not our way. Our people don't long for that same thing. We are guardians and farmers and shepherds, she says, bringing my hands together in prayer. Is that why they fought in the Great War? I say, and she nods sadly. Sosi people did not always agree, baby girl. There were many tribes and ways of living back then. There were loud fights about what should be done. Our people fought like thunder, you see. Olo are tricky. They knew how to divide so that the fight is smaller, she says. They met secretly with each of the tribes and bargained, giving different leaders whatever they needed, weapons and supplies, in exchange for more land. So people believed the Olo would show honor the same way that we show honor. That they would not take too much. That they would leave when asked. But Olo people are not Sosi people. They don't think like us, baby girl. And we did not realize until it was too late that Olo people are Joda, she says, smacking her hands together with a loud clasp. So I think she went, Arjoda, like that. Joda? It means one who devours. But not like food. Olo are Joda, because they devour like fire. They had begun to consume our great land with a fire no one could tame. I think of Cape Town, where the buildings are always growing, where there was always a push for bigger and more, and I see how Olo ways and mainlander ways. And I see how Olo ways are mainlander ways. Apologies for that. How we are what we know. Olo say that promises made on paper are the only promises that stand. And when Sosi tribes signed papers to give away land, to move away from the coast so that this nation could grow, they gave up their rights to everything else. But that's not fair. The rules are only fair for those who make them, Elamina. But couldn't they? We did not have proof that the land was ours. Only stories, told in a language they couldn't understand. And what are these stories but what And what are stories but lies that are told too often, Olo said. But stories, baby girl, stories are life. They are they are on our tongues, they are with us now, she says, holding my hand in her mouth. On her mouth, not in her mouth. And I was gonna say, okay, this book is getting weird because earlier it was really weird, but just holding the on her mouth. I think of how those poems from Violet's book fed. I think of how those poems from Violet's book fed me in a way that no other story has. Olo took the land along the coast and built their nation. They gave Sosi some land that was farther away, hard and dry. They made us pay for this and for that, again and again, she says. Our families got smaller and hungrier and thinner. Our babies did not survive, and Sosi fought each other in ugly ways over what we had left. When the Olo built While the Olo built and laughed. I shake my head, full of something hot that burns as Ida talks, a rage that's too hard to hold down. There was talks of sending Olo away, of putting out the Joda fire with fire of our own. Some believed we could fight, risk our own lives for what we loved, for what was ours. Sorry. I get really emotional when reading, and this is a very home-hitting topic. Okay, where is it? Others believe things could change with time. That we should work with them, learn from them, be patient, they said. But you see, baby girl, Olo know how to devour not just the land, but who we are. In my mama's last letter before she died, she said that's the slow death you don't see coming, the hardest one to fight, the one that comes for your mind. Okay, I need another tab. By the way, one person who's listening, how horribly am I doing? Because I usually don't read out loud. So. Ida smiles with her mouth, but her eyes seem to frown. Sosi fought the Great War because we wanted our lives and our land. But not everyone fought. Those who had gotten rich working alongside them hid, waiting for things to settle down. But when more Olo dropped from the sky on ships, bringing their weapons, the ones in hiding came out and surrendered, fearing for their lives. How many? Okay. Last 2 pages. Oh, if you get Libby and you have a library card, then you just sign in with your library card, and then you can rent it and read it yourself. Okay. The ones who fought must have been angry, I say. Ida nods. Those Sosi who hid had a different way of surviving. They spoke the Olo language well, so they negotiated with Covey. Oh, yes, there's a general named General Covey, and he was kind of in charge. He's kind of like Custer, in a way. In a way, he's kind of like Custer. Think of him as Custer. Same general colonizer image. Custer. Just a little more negotiating, I guess? But Custer. Or who's like a good Canadian example? I don't know. I didn't really pay attention to who the white generals were. I don't really care. Anyways. Covey and paid their way to the hill. While we were taken to the gutter, a tiny bit of land that dangles off the edge of the mainland, connected by a bridge you cross only once in your lifetime. I think about Ida's mother telling her this story before she left. By her crib at night, over dinner, I study my hands, the scar that matches Ida's, the unmarked one that looks like Mabel Freeman's. Are you mad? At the people on the hill? Are the gutter people angry? Ida takes a breath. I don't know, baby girl. Hill folk have the life I'll never have. And for that, I feel something, she says, turning her head into turning her hand into a fist and holding it near her belly. They come back they come back when they can, or when they want, to help a few. So there are many in the gutter who believe in them, who trust in the Hill Coalition. But there are many who think little of them because they put themselves first long ago, because they left so many behind. I'm on page 142 out of, how many pages are there? 370, I think. Unless this is, oh wait, no, sorry, 368. About that much through the book. I'd advise catching up, and I'm not going to do very many out loud readings. I just needed to practice my out loud reading a bit. And it's actually, I'm surprised with my timing. I thought it was going to take me an hour just to get through that. It might be different on a digital document though. Like sometimes digital and paperback copies, or like paper physical copies, don't match up exactly. So like you could go to the same page and it could be a completely different page, maybe in the same chapter but a different page. And it also depends on the font and the size and the formatting. Where was I? Okay, because they left so many behind. Ida grabs a broom. Okay, did I skip? I feel like I skipped. No, I didn't skip. Okay. But there are so many who think little of them because they put themselves first long ago, because they left so many behind. Ida grabs a broom, and starts sweeping so the bristles scratch against the floor like claws, as I think of David and Josephine on the hill with the Freemans. But they're helping, aren't they? The people on the hill. They're good, right? She stops sweeping and turns to me. Mainlanders said they were helping you when they took you. Mainlanders said they were helping you when they took you from your birth mother. But it's not right for a child so young to be separated from a mother. And that project proved that. My birth mother wasn't forced to give me up. Was forced. Oh. My bad. My birth mother wasn't forced to give me up, I say. She volunteered. There's no such thing as volunteering when it comes to something like that, baby girl, she says, her voice tight and angry. Mainlanders build things in such a way that giving a baby up is the best option you've got. Don't you see how your mother couldn't keep you? My mother too. They had nothing to offer us. And they believed what we are all told from birth, from the gutter to greatness, for the greatness of the country. For the greatness of the country, I repeat as Ida shakes her head. We are told that over and over, and now that I'm here, I see how they lied. How nothing here is great. How there's so much greatness back in the gutter with my family. Do you want to go back? You cross that bridge only once, and then you bring others along after. That's what my mama told me. Where am I? I'm sorry, my eyes swiveled and then I lost my spot. That's what my mama told me. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I stay. To be great for her and for the rest of my family, no matter what I now know or think. I want to be great, Ida, I say, tears filling my eyes, like it's the truth. I've always known, but never been able to admit, because I don't know how. Oh, sorry, I messed that up. It is, she said, I want to be great, Ida. I say, tears filling my eyes, like it's a truth I've always known, but never been able to admit, because I don't know how. Ida leans the broom against the wall and places her hands on my face, bending down so we're close. so I can feel her breath on my face. Then be great. How can I be great when I've got nothing but debt? Ida takes my hands in hers. You fight for whatever you can take, bit by bit, baby girl. Before I leave, Ida reminds me to repeat the story every night, and when she pulls me in close, I hold her tight and promise to never forget. And that concludes chapter 14. How long is chapter 15? Too long for tonight, and I have to read it tomorrow. So I think the amount of chapters I have to read tomorrow at school is 15, 16, and potentially 17, because 16 is a really short chapter, but 17 seems to be, oh no, the teacher's gonna force me to read 15, 16, 17, I think, tomorrow. So, Judy, are you still there? Because you were the person who was interacting the most, and you downloaded the book. If you are, can you please say something? Judy. Judy. Oh, my number. Maybe I will follow you back. However that happens. How do I follow people back? How do I do this? This is not doing. You know what? We'll just take a screenshot and then I'm gonna end my live because I need to go to bed and I need to finish the chapter questions for chapter 14. I'll post what chapter I'm on next and what one I'm planning on trying to read out loud next. Thank you for listening to me read very poorly. It took me probably 50 minutes to get through that little chapter, but I think it was worth it in the end because I practiced my reading skills. I introduced the book to somebody new, I got my emotions out, I put a tab in the book, and now I can do my chapter questions. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here. We just got finished reading Gutter Child. It's a really good book. I'm already halfway through. It's for school, but I would read it anyways. And if there's sequels, I'm gonna read the freaking sequels. Because who wouldn't want to read the sequel to this masterpiece? This comprehensive deep dive into colonization and colonialism and racism and unjust systems that are placed on indigenous people and people of color all over the world. Who wouldn't want to read this? This is such a good book. Well, racists wouldn't want to read it. But anyways, Gutter Child, really good book. The writer actually is a graduate from a university. I don't remember which one, but I do know that they graduated from somewhere, and that's how they're so good at writing. So, thank you so much. Adios.